Welcome back to ESBR Boxing's YouTube channel. Delighted, as always, to be joined by Elliot, Greg, and Owen. We are just a few days away now from the unification fight at flyweight. Sonny Edwards and Bam Bam Rodriguez will fight for two of the world titles at flyweight. Gents, it's a big fight. It's a Brit going abroad. We've got two undefeated fighters here, and it's one that many people are really looking forward to. It's probably one of the biggest fights at that weight in the last few years, and it's really interesting. It's a really interesting one. So looking forward to getting a few opinions flying around. The first question I'm going to ask is, how much of a step up is Jesse Rodriguez for Sonny Edwards? Sonny Edwards, as we mentioned, is undefeated, won his world title against South Africans Murti Methelane. Hope I pronounced that correctly. And has fought Felix Alvarado earlier this year, which wasn't an easy fight. And yeah, he's clearly a quality fighter, but I'm interested to get your opinions on how much of a step up Rodriguez is against those other fighters he's fought. Owen, I'll start with you. What are your thoughts?
I think it is a step up, but I think it's a step up he's needed. I do think he is, in terms of, I know it's one of the subjects we'll come on to, but in terms of natural talent, I think he is probably top three that we've got on these shores in terms of natural boxing ability. He's got obviously the Mutterlane, however you say it, that was obviously, like you say, I'd still say that's probably the biggest win of his career. He's one of the better names in the division, been around for a long time, but I think at your bantamweights, your flyweights, down those weights, it's really hard to be a superstar. So I think Sonny Edwards, once he gets the Bam Rodriguez win, he's quite mouthy, he's quite active. So I think Bam Rodriguez is one of I'd put him towards the elite fighters. So I think once Sonny Edwards gets that, it's a step up in class that he can finally be justified in saying he's one of the best.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would say Edwards he's fought good fighters. I think the flyweight division is one of those divisions where there are a lot of good fighters around. However, there aren't a lot of big names around. There aren't a lot of kind of big money fights for the likes of Sonny Edwards. But Rodriguez, is definitely a step up. But it's just I think people will debate over how much of a step up it is. Elliot, what are your thoughts? How much of a step up is this for Sonny Edwards?
Oh, I think it's a huge step up, to be honest. I think I don't want to underestimate how much of a step up I think it is, to be honest. I think if you look at who Rodriguez has fought, the names on that CV, obviously up at Superfly as well. Like you said, there's some big names up there that he has fought. Rungvisai, Quadras. But if you look at even like the guys that are on that kind of conveyor belt, the last guy that he fought was like Gonzalez. He's fought Chocolatito as well. And like those sort of names, they've all on like sort of conveyor belt. Estrada's in there, Arroyo. Kind of, like I say, they're all in that belt and they've all kind of fought against each other as well. So they've actually, he's seasoned against a lot better opposition than Sonny Edwards, frankly. And not only that, but he's won. So you have to sit there and go, well, this is a massive step up for Sonny Edwards. Sonny Edwards, like you say, he's got some all right names at flyweight on his record, and you can't take that away from him. But he's not got the names that Rodriguez has, and Rodriguez has won against those names. So this is, for me, is a huge step up for Sonny Edwards.
Brilliant. Greg, would you agree with Elliot there? Would you say this is a massive step up for Sonny Edwards?
Almost word for word. I agreed with Elliot there. This is a massive step up. Very, very different calibre to what Sonny Edwards has fought before. He's fought good fighters, Methelane. He's been in there with really good guys in the division, in there with some punchers. This is now an elite puncher. This is very, very different to being in with a good puncher. So, yes, Elliot, I think it's a very big step up, and to echo, and I think it's a step up that he needs.
Brilliant. Yeah, no, looking forward to it, just because when someone stays undefeated for so long, you want to know if someone can beat that. You want to know if someone can beat that guy. And now we've got two undefeated guys, two world champions. And I think a lot of people would describe this as a 50-50 fight, but some people might not. Looking forward to getting into the next one, gents. People love talking about pound for pound lists, all-time great lists, things like that. Some people love them, some people not so much. But one list that we're going to just discuss here is a British pound for pound current list. We're not going to kind of go through a top 5 or a top 10 or anything like that, but I'm interested to know where Sonny Edwards is in your list. we haven't got too many male world champions in the UK right now. I believe we're down to 4. So yeah, not as high as it's always been in the past. But interested to know where Sonny Edwards is on your list. Elliot, I will start with you.
Hoping you wouldn't. Okay, I think it's tough because obviously it's like I actually agree with Owen. I think natural ability, Sonny Edwards is probably up there, maybe even top 2. But also for my list personally, I like to have people that have been in big fights and prevailed in big fights. So, for example, do I think Sonny Edwards is a better fighter than Lee Wood? Yes, but I'm kind of reluctant to stick him above Lee Wood at this moment in time, just because of the run that he's been on. Similar with Sonny Edwards and Joe Cordina. I think Cordina's been on a successful run recently as well. Then you've got to look at people like Fury, and to be honest with you, this might be contentious, but even someone like Josh Taylor, who's obviously on a bit of a decline in some ways, you can't look at his CV and go, Sonny Edwards is better than that. So to be honest with you, I would probably not have Sonny Edwards in the top, not the top 1, but I'd have him in the top 5. But that's kind of it. And then you kind of, I suppose, it's down to opinions really on who you want to put where. But those would be my top 5. But I wouldn't have Sonny Edwards at 1. Put it that way. I think he's floating more around 4 or 5.
If he beats Rodriguez in December, but where do you think he would be then? Would he be in the top 3?
Yeah, I'd put him above Lee Wood probably if he beats. Remember, like I said, this is a huge fight, so I'd probably put him up there. I'd put him up there in the top 3. Yeah, I would put him in the top 3.
Yeah, of course. I think, look, if he wins this fight, he will, in my opinion, he can say, look, I've got 2 of these world title belts. I'm the best flyweight in the world. What other Brits can say that they're the best in their division? That's up for debate as well, of course. But Sonny Edwards can definitely say that if he wins on December the 16th. Greg, where is Sonny Edwards in your British pound for pound list?
He's somewhere similar for me, Elliot, top 5. Forget about my nationality with what I'm about to say, but I think he's not been great his last 2 fights, but you can't look past what Josh Taylor's done. Undisputed champion, not world champion, unified, undisputed, and yeah, bad performance against Catterall, dead at the weight against Lopez, but he's travelled and he's beat so many good champions. You've got Tyson Fury, Lee Wood, etc. Tyson Fury, you just need to honestly, really remarkable the way the guy dealt with Wilder. Wilder limited in ability, but a huge puncher, and you need to be awake consistently for 36 rounds with him. Potentially it could have been. Lee Wood, he's probably my favourite British fighter to watch at the moment. He's in exciting fights. He's found his knockout power. For me, Sonny Edwards is probably a top 5 because natural ability is extremely talented, but I want to see him really step up to the big league now and see what he's got. So top 5 for the minute.
Fantastic. Owen, can always sense that you're going to say something controversial on one of these calls. Not sure it's going to come now in a few minutes' time, but yeah, same question to you. Where's Sonny Edwards on your list?
Unfortunately, I can't provide the controversy just yet. There's still time, but I have to agree. I think I know I've been I've slated him recently, like Greg says, for his recent performances, but I still have Josh Taylor at the top. I think that run of Postal, Baranchik, Prograis, Ramirez was ridiculous, to be fair. And I don't really think there's a Brit that's touched that. I think sort of where you went with the question to Elliot, I think Edwards is probably floating around 5 or 6 for me at the minute. But when I do think he will beat Rodriguez, and if he does get that win, I think that flies him up the rankings. That's probably, well, I wouldn't even say probably, that's the best active win at the moment if he comes good. So I think we could be, if we have this conversation in the new year, a Sonny Edwards win, we're probably talking 2 or 3 in terms of pound for pound. But I do think at the minute, like say the run like Lee Wood's on, Josh Taylor's resume, so etc. So even Joe Cordina is on a good run. So I think he'd be slightly inactive, but yeah, I think Edwards would be around about 5 or 6. But I think this win against an elite fighter propels him to a minimum 3rd.
Brilliant. Would anyone, if Edwards wins on December the 16th, would anyone have him above Tyson Fury?
Close.
I don't know. I think for me it's a tough one because I think when you look at Fury's wins, he's got a great CV, but I
Yeah.
think personally for me, to be pound for pound, you still need to be active. You need to be getting big wins. You can't just rely on, I've beat so-and-so 2 or 3 years ago. So I think in terms of activeness is where I would really consider it. But with the Usyk fight agreed and a date agreed is what's making me reluctant. But if that fight don't happen and it gets pushed back and back, then I'd 100% have Sonny Edwards above him.
Yeah, I think it's a tricky one with pound for pound lists because it depends what you like, but there are some people who would say that it's down to what you've done recently, and with Fury recently fought Derek Chisora for a third time, then nearly lost to Francis Ngannou. So actually, if you're looking at the last 12 months of his career, it's actually not that impressive, and those Wilder victories were a little while ago now. Anyway, we'll move back to Edwards versus Rodriguez, or Rodriguez versus Edwards, what we're here to talk about. Going to do predictions a bit earlier than usual, gents. Going to talk about what happens to the guy you think's going to win this fight after that. Greg, going to come to you first. It's a really tough one. Really don't know what any of you guys are going to say, but what is your prediction at this stage for Jesse Rodriguez against Sonny Edwards?
I'm a big believer in going with your gut, Elliot, because the more you question your gut, that's when you start to get things wrong. I just kind of get Canelo, Billy Joe Saunders vibes from this fight. I just think Edwards was good enough to box rings around him, but he's going to get caught at some point. And this isn't a little man who's good. This is a little man that's great. And I think that I need to see Sonny Edwards perform at that level before I can confidently say, you'll beat the best in the world. So at the moment, I have to be honest, I think it's going to be a tight fight that Edwards is ahead in. I think he's maybe going to get caught late, and I can see him maybe getting stopped here.
I remember you said in a prediction video many moons ago that your worry with Sonny Edwards is that he lacks attention sometimes. Remember a while ago, got dropped by Marcel Braithwaite, who's not a puncher, who's a British level fighter. Is that still a big worry of yours?
I think he's going to be razor focused for this one, guys. I have to be honest. I think he knows he has to be. And I can almost see him boxing really, really well. But these guys, when they need to switch up a gear, they really can. And we're yet to see if Sonny Edwards can do that. We know Bam Rodriguez can do it, but can Sonny Edwards do it? And that's why you kind of have to go with the proven so far in this fight. Sonny's going to think I hate him. He always does. I don't know why, because I've got so much respect for the guy. He's a great fighter. He's a fantastic champion, but this is the elite now he's in with, and I need to see him against the elite to make a case for him to win.
Yeah, we'll tag him on Twitter and see if he responds to this video. I'm sure he will.
Let's not.
No. 1-0 Rodriguez. Owen, give us your prediction.
I am backing Sonny Edwards. I think, like Greg says, he can switch off. I think if he cuts that out, if he's, like I say, razor sharp focused, if he can cut the showboating out, because I don't think I've seen a fight where he hasn't tried to throw in at least one little, whether it's a look to the side, drop of the guard, shimmy in the shoulders, there's always something he does. And I think, like Greg says, if you're fighting someone as clever as Bam Rodriguez, he'll pick up on that. And as soon as he tries to showboat, it's probably lights out for Edwards. We've seen, like you say, he's been dropped. I think he's been hurt a couple of times, but he's clever enough to box and move when he is hurt and keep himself out of any further danger. But I just think everything he's talked about, everything he said he is, everything he said he can do in the sport comes down to this fight, really. In terms of if he wants to go on to be a great, he needs this win. So I do think I'm going to go for a very close points decision for Sonny Edwards. But when I say very close, I'm talking by maximum 2 rounds. And I genuinely can see it being a fight where we do a post-fight review, and it's, if you give it a draw, fair enough. If you give it 1 round either way, fair enough. But I am going to go Edwards on a very tight points win.
Brilliant. We'll see. It's 1-1, 2 to go. Elliot, Rodriguez or Edwards?
Well, I can't sit here with a straight face and pretend that Sonny Edwards is going to win this for in heart or head. For me, frankly, I think You know, I hadn't thought about it like Greg had said before, but actually, when he mentioned it, I think he's spot on. The Canelo Billy Joe Saunders fight, I could see that happening. You look at like Sonny Edwards, got 20 wins for stoppages. Like he's obviously not got the power to stop Rodriguez. Let's be honest about it. And I'm not convinced he'd have the power to keep him off him either. And I can actually see a late stoppage as well. I think it'd be somewhere sort of 9 rounds plus, but I can genuinely see Rodriguez getting to him, frankly. And I think I just look at, like I said, I just look at the guys he's fought and at the weight he's fought above this weight as well. And I just feel like Sonny Edwards doesn't have that. And for me, I actually think Sonny Edwards almost would have been better off having, I mean, it's like obviously there's money involved in this, but having almost a stepping stone fight before this. I'd like to have seen him in with some of those other guys like Arroyo, whoever, or Quadras, whatever. Someone like that first before this. I think he's gone too high too soon, frankly. And I think, like Greg said, also with Fury and Wilder, he's going to have to concentrate for 36 minutes if he's going to win. He's not going to stop Rodriguez. So I think he's going to get caught and stopped, frankly. I think it'd be 9 rounds plus.
No, look, really, really interesting. I feel like you've got the strongest, in my opinion, you've got the strongest opinion here, Elliot, in terms of like how confident you are of your winner. So we'll see. I
just don't see how you can. I just don't see looking at everything and looking at what we've looked at. I just can't make an argument for Sonny Edwards. I think Sonny Edwards is extremely talented, but there's talent in it. I just can't make an argument. I'm glad Owen has, because I personally can't make an argument for it.
Well, now you said that, I am actually personally going to side with Owen. I'll break it down quickly. I'm a big believer in timing in boxing. Rodriguez in his last fight suffered what looked like quite a bad injury at the launch media tour that the two fighters did. Thought Rodriguez looked a bit chubby, and I think he's got quite a lot of weight to lose. I think he's in for more of a fat loss camp than a proper training camp, and I think that could affect him. And I just think, I think Sonny Edwards is a quality fighter. I think he's a very tricky customer. If I was to give an exact prediction, I think Sonny Edwards will get dropped, but we'll go on to win the fight on points. So after all that,
well.
Yeah, say that again.
In the US as well.
Yeah, in the US. Yeah. Look, we'll see. I'm not as confident as you are, but that's my gut feeling at the moment. And after all that, we're undecided because 2 of us have gone for Jesse Rodriguez and 2 of us have gone for Sonny Edwards. So here we are. We'll go around the opposite way, gents. In terms of what happens next, Elliot, if Rodriguez wins, who you're picking, what do you think he'll do? Like, one fighter we've not mentioned is Julio Cesar Martinez, who seems to be going through a bit of a rough patch in his career. Hasn't been too impressed the last couple of years. He is still the WBC world champion at flyweight. At super flyweight, Juan Francisco Estrada holds the WBC belt. Nakatani, who's absolutely massive for the weight, holds the WBO belt. So we'll see. What do you think Rodriguez does if he wins this fight against Sonny Edwards?
This makes hearing you talk about some of those fights, Martinez and Estrada, got me excited. So I'm going to probably focus on those 2. I think, to be honest with you, we've seen him obviously up at Superfly before, so if he wants to go up at Superfly and fight Estrada, he can do that. And also for legacy, I think, like, you look at that, that's basically ticking off one of those other names, isn't it? Like the sort of, Chocolatito and Rung Vasai up there as well. So I can see that happening. But I'd love to see him fight Martinez, to be honest with you. I think he beat Martinez, but I'd love to see that as well. I'd love to see Martinez fight Sonny Edwards. So I think, to be honest with you, if I had to pick any of those fights, I'd like to see him go up and fight Estrada.
Fantastic. Owen, what are your thoughts? Sonny Edwards wins. What's next?
For me, I think if he wins, I'd like to see him chase the money, to be honest. Like, when Srisaket's probably the money fight around those weights. It's another massive name on the record. I think if Sonny Edwards wins this, I think he's going to struggle to get a fight. I think a lot of people are going to avoid him because it essentially beat the man who beat the man. But yeah, I'd like to see Edwards fight someone like Srisaket because he's a massive name down there. He's a huge name in the division. I know, obviously, he's a lot older now, but I think that's a fight for him to say, I've got glory, sort of thing, get that, and then go back on to as many titles as possible. Because I think the thing is with Edwards, I don't think he's massive around flyweight, super flyweight, either of those weights. I don't think Edwards is the biggest, so it's hard to see him stepping up any further in the weights. So yeah, I'd like to see a fight like that personally.
Brilliant. No, look, there are big fights are available, which hasn't always been said in that division. Greg, we'll have the last word with you. Rodriguez wins. What's the fight that you want to see next?
Well, excuse me, if I put my political head on what I think will happen, what I would also like to see as well, Eddie Hearn's got a massive interest in a lot of these fighters that we're talking about. I think the winner will get Estrada, and I think the loser will get Martinez. It could be either of, but that's the way I see it going, because Eddie Hearn's got an interest in those fighters. The winner, I feel they'll get Estrada because that's a bigger money fight, and he's more well known. He's got the profile. I think that Julio Cesar Martinez, he's known enough so that the loser can maybe get put on an undercard against him. Maybe the winner and the loser are on the same card as each other their next fights. But I think it will be those two, win or loss, that both fighters come up against.
Great stuff. And look, who knows? Depending on what happens in the fight, we could even see a rematch. Gents, be good to break this one down with you. A fantastic unification fight to end the year on. December the 16th, Jesse Bam Bam Rodriguez and Sonny Edwards will fight at flyweight for 2 of the world titles. Greg, Owen, Elliot, thank you very much for your time. We will speak again soon.